What up, world? It's your boy E letting you know we are now proud members of the Visionaries Global Media family. That's right, catch us Wednesdays on Visionaries Global Media.
Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Nattering with E at the Movies.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Good luck.
This is Nattering with E at the Movies. Welcome back to another episode of Nattering E at the Movies, brought to you by Visionaries Global Media. That's right. Every Sunday, potentially monthly. No. Every Sunday monthly. We, I think that makes sense, Momo.
I think we can time.
Yeah.
I think we can time.
Yeah. We're doing another movie series. So, you may remember Momo from the fantastic trilogy of Planet of the Apes movies back in June. I remember we were going to do a follow-up for, did you ever see the fourth one? The one that just came out?
Kingdom? Yeah, I did see it.
Yeah, we gotta do an episode on that, like a side episode one day, whenever you're free. Just a recap of
There you go.
how humanity stinks, basically, is what I got from that.
Humanity does stink.
Yeah. So, as part of doing, so today's episode is going to be, sorry, this month, the month of September's episode is going to be about the Taken series. Liam Neeson, Famke Janssen, and Maggie Grace star as the Mills family. Where, Momo, I'm just gonna say it. I don't think they should be traveling. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's a pretty accurate thing, I would say. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. They seem to get into a lot of trouble, mainly because of Liam Neeson's character Brian, and yeah, I think they should probably go hide in a bunker somewhere and never travel outside the country ever again.
Yeah. Except for like the third one, which will we're not going to do a scene by scene breakdown as I've done with You Can Hear Gangs in New York at some point on Visionary Global Media that Tom and I did, because that was like 4 hours long. So instead, we're going to break down our favorite scenes, our least favorite scenes, our MVPs of the series, a few tangents, and we're going to do. I'm taking this from Good Cop, Bad Cop, which I was just on recently. It's called Devil's Advocate, where you have to say something nice about the character that you hate the most.
Oh God.
So,
Awesome.
let's start with tangents. So we're jumping way ahead. So basically, before we start with tangents, I'll just give a quick rundown of all three movies. Liam Neeson, who plays Brian Mills, is formerly married to Famke Janssen, who's Lenore Lenny Mills St. John. She has a new husband, originally played by Xander Berkeley, and then switched in number three to I missed the actor's name, but I will follow that up shortly. Um, and they have a teenage daughter getting ready to graduate high school in the first one, named Kimmy or Kimberly. She also has a very funny run, I found. Like whenever she's like going to jog, it was weird. It was like a zigzag horse thing that like I don't know. I'm not it was very confusing. Some other interesting facts about the family are that while they are divorced, it seems like Brian is borderline stalking Lenny a little bit in every film. Uh, Essentially, like he has to be every time that they call him to be like, "Hey, Dad, come and see us," he ends up being there like 10 seconds later, like, "Oh, I was just using the washroom wherever you were." Or there's a scene where Kimmy is fooling around with her boyfriend in Taken 2, and suddenly there's a knock on the door, and it's Dad. After Dad had promised Mom that he was not going to follow or stalk or give his daughter some space. Anyways, long story short, so Brian Mills used to be a ex-CIA Green Beret, and Kimmy in the first one wants to go to Paris with her friend Amanda, who we found out is played by Katie Cassidy, aka the Black Siren, I think it was in Arrow.
I believe that's what she was. I believe
Yeah,
that's what she was.
yeah, which was crazy seeing like, oh my God, like that girl's there. And so they Kimmy and Amanda get taken by sex traffickers who then uh have to deal with Mr. Brian Mills. There's a famous meme of him taking a phone call, which where he's threatening the kidnappers. Uh, Long story short, saves the girl. Second one, um, he goes to Istanbul for some business, but the sex traffickers who are still alive and their leaders want revenge, and they try to take him, Kimmy, and Lenny. And the third one is domestic, in that Lenny's now ex-husband Stuart owes some Russian drug dealers money, and they go after his family. And unfortunately, they kill Lenny, which then sets Brian off even further. So, Mike, as we get into our favorite scenes, no, as we get into tangents about the three, we are going to jump ahead to the third one because Momo has a lot on her mind about this. So, Momo, the floor is yours, my friend.
It's it's where I it's where I have it's where I have the biggest issue. So a little context, I'm a really big nerd when it comes to like behind the scenes stuff and how things are shot. There is one scene that pissed me off so bad that it ruined the rest of the movie for me. There is a scene where he is literally he's running from the cops and he's jumping over a fence. I kid you not. I must have counted at least 20, it was at least 20 cuts of him just jumping over this damn fence. And it was like, why are you, why? That's like the way you shoot a scene like that is you shoot it from different angles and then you maybe do like two or three cuts maybe, but it was like 20 and I counted, I'm like one, two, three, and I just stopped counting after 20. There's no way you need 20 jump cuts of one scene, particularly of Liam Neeson jumping over the fence. If you need to hide something, just have a have a stunt double and call it a day. But to have 20 jump cuts in a scene, and by the way, the third one just makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. So, but we'll talk more about it. But oh my God, I after it was done, I literally said I saw the director's name and I said, "You should be ashamed, and we should let this series that's it. We don't need any more takens. That's it. We don't need any more. You killed it."
That's fair. That's very fair. I know they did a TV series afterwards with a much younger Brian Mills, played by the same
Yeah.
actor who played Rolo on Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean, if you like bad action flicks, I mean, I'm game. I like all that stuff, like the '80s cheese with like Van Damme and Chuck Norris and like even Charles Bronson. I'm just or Seagal before he turned out to be like a batshit like
Yeah.
anti-feminist person. I was like,
Yeah.
um, it seems like Liam Neeson when he does all these movies is making up for lost time. Like, hey, I wasn't cast as this in the '80s, so now I'm gonna be like 50 to 70 years old and just be that guy, sort of thing.
Well, the great thing that that movie did was that it it made like older actors believe like, okay, I can actually do this and it not look stupid or silly, right? Because because then it was taken and now we have Bob Odenkirk doing Nobody. So
Yeah,
all these different things. So it said, okay, yeah, maybe the older generation actors can still cut it up. That's the great thing that Taken did. It's like it didn't write off those older actors. It said no, older actors can be, useful and all that other stuff. So
absolutely. So my tangent would be throughout the series, we see that Brian actually does have friends. He's not a loner who just focuses on his family and is there every 5 seconds for them. Instead, he actually has like four buddies. Leland Orser plays Sam, John Grise plays Mark, and David Warshawski plays Bernie. Those are his um and then no, it was just three of them actually. I thought there was four of them, but I am wrong. Um anyways, long story longer. Uh throughout the series, and I think I've literally, aside from saying it off air just now to Momo, I think I literally texted her and was like, why don't these guys have a bigger role? Like, why are they just like, hey, I'm over at your house for a barbecue. Yes, your family just got taken by sex traffickers, but like, it's not like, hey man, need anything? Like, can we help you? Because apparently they were in the life with him, and they even helped him when he was watching that pop star. But it wasn't like, hey, we can help you now that your daughter's been taken or your wife's been taken. It's not until the third one where they're like, oh yeah, they actually need to help him this time.
yeah, it's like, oh, we're actually gonna do things. They basically put him on ice for 3 movies
Yeah, yeah. And
until the third movie.
And every time he calls them while he's like first in France and then he's in Istanbul and then I think he's also and then he's just in America in the third one. But anyways, they're always on the golf course while he has a problem.
Yeah, well, but old people like to golf. Old people do that. So
Yeah.
they had to throw that like, yes, I'm retired. What's the best way to show a man who's retired? They can play golf.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Um so let's go to favorite scenes.
I think out of all of them,
Mhm.
I would say, well, I mean the classic, you know, I don't have any money, but what I do have is a particular set of skills. I mean, it's so iconic, and it's very, there have been memes about it. There have been, parodies of it. So it's just such a good scene and it's such a good speech. And then I think the fact of the matter is that it's very threatening, but it doesn't even sound threatening. It sounds like, oh, he's actually gonna do this,
Mhm.
you know. But he does give them an out. That's the thing about this movie that a lot of movies don't do, is that it's like, I'm just gonna come after you. But he actually gave him an out and been like, hey, just give me back. Give me my daughter back, that'll be the end of it. But if you don't give it back, I'm just gonna kill all of you. And obviously the good luck was the biggest thing. But yeah, it's I think that might be my favorite scene. You already know my least favorite scene.
Yeah.
You already know what my least favorite scene is.
My my favorite scene is when he's in the car chase in the third one with he's making the cop drive, and then he lets the cop out of the car, and he's pointing a gun at him, and he's just like, keys, no, he's like, cell phone, radio, doesn't ask for his wallet, and the cop's like, this isn't going to end well for you, right? And he's like, why don't you stop being a pessimist? It's like, what? Such a random scene. Or when he survives the Russians basically try to wreck his car, and he survives, and then he steals that other car, but he's very reasonable about it. He's just like, he points the gun at the guy in the truck, and he's just like, listen, I don't want to hurt you. I just need to come with you for a ride. Is it cool if I drive? And the guy's like, yeah, sure,
Sure, man.
sure, man, whatever. And then
Go
he just
ahead.
lets him out peacefully. He's like, whatever. And so there's like borderline comedy to this movie where you're just like, why am I laughing so hard at a movie where he kills a guy in like 6 seconds with his like pinky finger? Like, I don't
Yeah.
get
And yeah, and I'm pretty sure this was, yeah, because the first one was like pre this was pre John Wick. So
Mhm.
John Wick hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was kind of like the first like old guy movie, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just reading the plot line on Taken One on Wikipedia, and that guy, Jean-Claude, who was supposed to be his like buddy, but then he took a payoff from the sex traffickers.
Yeah.
If anybody got like a more brutal death than that guy, I don't know who. Like in the second one, when the guy goes, like, he grabs him by the ear, he pulls out some scissors, stabs him in the thigh, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill you, but not before I hurt you even more." And then apparently his family was there, but in another room, because
Yeah.
he shakes the bunny rabbit thing, and I'm like, "Oh my God, like this is gonna be bad." So,
Yeah.
but yeah, what about you? What was crazy scene for you?
I would say I would say probably the craziest scene for me is finding out in the third one that like the the husband basically set him up.
Mhm.
That was kind of like wait, what? It was crazy in terms of like just that it was like, wait a minute, you guys were all like kind of chill with each other. Why all of a sudden are you trying to set him up for his ex-wife's murder? What? And it was just all money, and I'm like, okay. Just all right. But I'd say that is outside of like action scenes, I'd say like that was probably the craziest. Obviously I think like a lot of the scenes that they shot in like Istanbul, like the car chase scene, I think was probably pretty crazy, but just like plot twist was kind of like a WTF moment for me.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite thing is after the first one, anytime he talks to the daughter, um, she's like, "Hey Dad, what's up? Your mother and I have been taken." And she's like, and she just like she's not like, "What? Really?" She's just like, "What can I do? How may I
Yeah.
assist you, Dad?"
Yeah, and then like all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, I need to and then she's like, "Oh, he was like something along the lines of, "Do you know how to shoot?" And she's like, "No." Well, then drive. Like it's just like being able to drive and just like being able to drive and that whole thing. And that was kind of like a thing for the whole movie. And then obviously the funny thing at the end, her finally getting her license was funny after all that happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, well, now you know how to drive.
I thought too that like just how he had such pressure on her, even though he was like supposedly he had no money, and to his family he was just a bum who couldn't do anything after a job that he wouldn't talk about. But
Mhm.
like when she when she no shows in the second movie for the driving lesson, and he's like furious that like she broke the rule, and then she's like, no, you're the one who made the plans, I'm the teenager living my life. And he's like, no, I need you to learn how to drive, and then to be spontaneous, instead of showing up at 2 o'clock he shows up at 2:01. I was like, what is this? It's so ridiculous, but I love
It's
it.
so him though. It
Yeah,
just makes sense for that character. It's very, very him.
yeah. Yeah. I was reading something about like various facts. I think I sent it to you for from What Culture?
Hmm.
And so one of the facts was like even Liam Neeson was like, why are we making this movie? Like he thought Taken would fail. And then he was like, actually, it was fun. And then they were so apparently one of the perceptions was that he was only in it for the money, but apparently the budget was like 40 million for each of these movies, and he ended up eventually making 20 million from like yeah, they'd increase it every time. Anyways, he apparently on the first one, the reason that he um agreed to come on was because they said that they would pay for him to fly to Paris and to teach him how to do karate. And so he was like, "All right, how long's the movie?" Movie was 4 months. He's like, "All right, great. I want to learn how to do it."
I mean, like, how old was Liam Neeson? Like a 4 month job is like great. I could do it in 4 months and just be done. So I think that's awesome. I love that. Um, a crazy kind of fact about it is that he actually got a an SAS soldier to teach Liam Neeson like how to do all the combat stuff and how to do the weapons in order for him to train for the role. Um, and then another thing is that Liam Neeson wasn't even going to be it wasn't their first choice.
It was
It was actually Jeff Bridges.
oh wow, who's now an
And
old man, which is a
yeah,
blessing
it was
to
just
show.
so ironic. It was just which is so ironic considering now, it's like, oh, you didn't do Taken, but you're doing Old Man, which is a series. So, I mean, it all worked out, I guess. But yeah, I feel like as a whole, I do like I do like the Taken series for what it is, and that is just like a sit down turn your brain off fun series of movies. Like obviously I ranted about
The
the
movie
scene.
cuts, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the movie cuts, but I feel like overall I don't feel like I wasted my time. Especially with the first one. The first one I think I actually saw in theaters.
Yeah, same, same. I couldn't remember seeing the second and third ones. what, like before this binge. I don't think I was aware that they even came out.
Yeah. Like the second one, I feel like the second one is no, I lied. The second one's fine. The third one, no, the second one's very forgettable. The third one is very bad. It because to me and it just made me mad because there were just
Was
choices in
that
the
scene?
no, it wasn't even just that scene. It's just like the things that were happening made no sense. Why are you still with your husband and yet you're still flirting with Liam Neeson, being like, "Oh, I'm not happy in my marriage," and then you end up dying anyway. And yeah, it was just there
Because
were I there's so many issues, so
the
many issues.
well, that's what this podcast is about, talking about those issues.
Yeah, I feel like it was more so like it might have been more like a writing issue
Mhm.
more than a director. Well, some of the things were definitely a director issue. Like you don't need that many jump cuts, bro. Like you don't. You do not need that many jump cuts. But I feel like from a story standpoint, there were just a lot of things that just made no sense. Um just the plot with the husband, and then they went back to the phone call line, and I'm like, all right. We've run this to the ground. Like, let's not do this. Let's we it ended on 3. It's a trilogy. All right, we're done. So yeah, 2 I feel like was kind of just bleh. I feel like 2 was very, very eh. I do like the first one for what it is. Because we hadn't really seen a movie like that before. But yeah, where it's just like a really old dude. There are other movies out there, obviously, that have done that. But to come in the forefront for them to not think it was gonna make a lot of money and then it makes money, like that's something to think about, really.
Yeah, it's also, well, just to touch on your point before about how it's good as like mindless action for like sit down for an hour and a half either at the theater or at your house and just mindlessness. It's fantastic to think that that like sort of, as you said, the writing had a lot of issues to it, but literally when I was watching it on did you watch it on Disney Plus too, or where did you watch it?
So a lot of the times I'll either watch it on Disney Plus or I'll watch things on Prime.
Yeah.
I think at some point it was on Prime, I think.
Yeah, so what I found hilarious, which wasn't anything to do, I guess, necessarily with the writing of the movie, is that taken so the mini synopsis to hook you onto the movie is literally taken um Brian Mills has a certain set of skills. Ta
Yeah.
taken two. Brian Mills once again has to use his certain set of skills. Taken 3, they pissed him off. He's using those skills again, was literally what it said on Disney, plus his synopsis thing. And I'm like, they even know there's no storyline here. It's just that they just want him to kill people.
Making I think it's amazing that they were able to make 3 of them because
Mhm.
and like I'm looking at the poster right now. I'm looking at the tagline. It says take it 3. It ends here. Like they knew like it's almost like they knew.
That's
It's almost like they knew. Just like, dude, all right, enough.
apparently they had to talk Liam Neeson into coming back for the third one. From this fact site, my fact source is What Culture, so take it for what you will. But they said apparently someone interviewed Liam Neeson and was like, "Are they making a Taken 3?" And he's like, "I hope not." Like at that point, it's just bad parent. He was like, "It's just bad parenting if we make a third one because the daughter's
Yeah,
taken twice."
for real. It is. It is. If we honestly like sit down and think about it, it's like it's awful parenting, but it's a way to get Liam Neeson and kick somebody's behind. Great. Fantastic. Still not good.
Yeah.
Another I would say an underrated performance. Um, well, obviously he's always gonna do well, was Forrest Whitaker.
Yes. Yeah. He's
Forrest
a
Whitaker
great actor. He's great.
I really liked Forrest Whitaker's character in this because it was like, okay, I'm gonna try to bring he's like, I know I'm gonna try to bring you in, right? But as the movie went on, it was like, oh, you're not just like some cop trying to get him. You're actually somebody who's like, okay, I respect you, and then I do think something's going on. Let me investigate this. So, because like one of the tropes I'm not a fan of is when you have like the cop who's kind of just the cop,
Hmm.
and it's like I'm just after the guy or gal or whatever, and it's like, okay, can you think for 2 seconds? Like the evidence is right there, and that's like my biggest pet peeve. But this, I don't think really did that.
Oh, we have a guest appearance by Mr. Alex. Alex, how are you?
Yeah. Say hi.
Hi.
You've got your new thing on, your new pillow thing on.
Nice.
What? Yes. Yes, child. I thought you were tired.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can cuddle me. He's been doing this new thing now where he wants to like rub up against my arm like a cat, and I don't know why.
Fair enough. For those new to the pod, Alex is Momo's son. So he's joined us on this is an audio only, but he's joining us on camera. We last saw Alex during Planet of the Apes, I think. He was
Yeah, it
he
was
was
Planet
back
of the
then.
Apes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course during our WrestleMania weekend with LOL Mike Peterson and Plague, which was also awesome. You can check that episode out on LOL Mike Peterson and Friends in Catering from April. So yeah, pretty great. Yeah, I agree. Forrest Whitaker was great. The other guy I liked too was the not not Smith, but I forget the other uh detective's name. The guy who was always like he was in the washroom trying to find Kimmy, and then there was also I'm trying to find his name, but he is not on um cop number
It's
one.
not it's not Oleg, is it?
No, 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 no. It was geez, it
Mommy.
looks like Luke Grimes, but like an older version of Luke Grimes.
It's like discount Luke Grimes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, he was pretty solid too. I agree with you though that like Forrest Whitaker was great. I love that line at the end where he's shooting the breeze with Liam Neeson, and he's like, the way that I knew that you were fine was because of the warm bagels. Like who brings warm bagels to their house after potentially sleeping with their wife, but then all her clothes are on and her throat is slit? Like who does that?
Yeah.
And then he's like, "That's when I knew that you weren't a bad guy."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah." So, uh, note, noting for anybody who I was gonna make a bad joke and say, noting anyone who's plotting a potential murder, um, don't allow the person to go buy bagels first.
Yeah, for real. It's like actually, yeah, the people who they don't know how to plan murders well. They don't know how to plan murders well. Okay, I need you to like stop rubbing on me. Okay.
Okay.
All right, go play with your toys, please. Thank you.
With weapon.
Close my door.
Ryan chases.
But yeah, I absolutely love it. Yeah, I love his character. It's and then yeah, it was like they tried to do that, and then the line was like, "I know you know a lot of people, and with a good lawyer, you'll get out of jail in a few years, and then I'll come for you. I'll find you, and we both know what's gonna happen." Like you don't even do the full line. Like
Yeah.
how lazy are you? You
At that
don't
point,
even do.
at that point, he's just done with the movie. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's pretty funny. Um, oh, I forget the name of. They don't even have that detective in there. LAPD detectives. Um,
Yeah, it's
is
just
it this
really
guy?
it's just
No,
really silly.
let's say
Um,
Don Harvey. No. Maybe it is Smith. Jeez. Okay, fair enough. Anyways, what I like to about number three. I know you hated number three because that scene, but I loved. Oh no,
you
my dog showed up too, and she just threw up some water, which is fun. So
you, you liked number three?
I like number three. Yes.
I'm
Um,
curious why you liked number three. Like honestly.
Honestly, it's as dumb as just saying that I liked the fact that his buddies finally did something, and also that I thought Doug Ray Scott, the guy who replaced the original Stewart, was actually a better Stewart and like good for being the bad guy. And
Yeah.
then I thought Forrest Whitaker, when we get into MVPs, I'll elaborate on that, but yeah, I thought that was pretty good. Um, what else did I like about that movie? I actually like the bad guy. Like in the scene where he almost gets run off the road by those guys, and then he drives to like the whiskey store to the beer store where they were, and he just like
Yeah.
he starts killing those dudes. So when Maxim, who's Malenkov is the main bad guy, is the second main bad guy as it turns out in the third one.
Yeah.
Stewart's the main bad guy.
Yeah.
Maxim is Stewart's, I mean, is Malenkov's right hand man, and
Mm-hmm.
Liam Neeson stops him from no, they get into a fight. Liam Neeson's about to kill him, and he's like, "Who sent you?" And he's like, "I would rather die than tell you." And instead of like letting Liam Neeson kill him, he eats the gun that Liam Neeson is holding and shoots himself. He commits suicide while both of them are holding the gun. And I'm like, this movie rules.
Oh my god.
Which is crazy, but yeah.
It's
Um,
just like
Momo's
it's like
holding
all
your face
right.
right now, and it's like, yeah, get
It's
it.
just like it's just like all right. I mean, I give it credit. It's like they don't normally you don't normally do that unless it's a comedy, so there you go, I guess. But I yeah. All right, we've talked a lot about Taken 3. Notice how we haven't talked any about Taken 2.
Taken two, um, yeah, we can get into that now. So Taken two, um, this is where I had a problem with the the series. I know I've been raving about it, and Momo's been like, no, absolutely not. But um, this is where I have a problem with it because we see in Taken two that Lenny and Stewart have separated. He's being an asshole and decides that he's not going to fund Kimmy and Lenore's trip to go to China. And Liam Neeson's making his move to come back in and be like, "Hey, Lenny, come with me. I got a job in Istanbul, and then come with me and hang out." And she's like, "All right, fine." She doesn't need much convincing. So the part that I have a problem with this, with the general storyline of all three movies, is the fact that Taken one, she's madly in love with Stuart and is like, "Screw you, Brian," but then go get our daughter. But like, screw you. Then Taken two, me and Stuart are not together. We're not in a good place. Uh, Sure, I'll go with you, Brian, to Turkey, just for the hell of it. Taken Taken 3. We're going through a divorce and we're trying to work it out, and it's been about 2 years, but um I'm now living again with Stuart, even though we are fighting. And this is like, what?
That's why these movies they feel like three separate movies. They don't even feel like a trilogy
Mhm.
as far as that storyline, because like that's why this the writing of this the sequels just make no sense to me, and it is because of that. Like her whole thought process through her relationship with Brian and her marriage with Stuart, it's like, ma'am, just no. Pick what you want and stick with it. Like you are the woman who just does not make up her mind at all. Like, do you want to be with Stuart or you want to be with Brian? Personally, I don't think she should be with none of them, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like how?
That scene where I know we should stop talking about the third one, go to the second one, but there's that scene where she comes over to eat with him, and she starts like flirting with him, like, you ever get where you're trying to work something out with your partner, but you're fantasizing about someone else? And then they kiss, and then Liam Neeson's like, believe me, Lenny, I don't want to stop, but I'm an honorable guy, and you should work out your problems with Stuart. And I'm thinking to myself, it's been 2 years.
It's like, why?
Why?
What?
Just sleep together. And plus, there was this whole implication in the second one after he saved them, after he saved Kimmy and Lenny, that he and Lenny probably did do the business. And so it's just like, what? And
It's just it's
it's
so
yeah, and
it's
Stuart just keeps talking about how, like, I I did this out of revenge, where I turned you against the Russians and I framed you for Lenny's murder because I know you were sleeping with her. And instead of saying, no, 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 we were holding off, Brian's just like, yeah, so. So what if I was?
and see, this is what makes it even, and you know what? That's what makes it even worse. That's
Yeah,
what makes it even worse.
yeah. It's like watching Jerry Springer, but like with action, with like, we're going all over the world here. So,
For real.
the, uh, there's the opening scene of the second one, really bothers me in the regard that they go to Tapoi or Tarpoi, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Albania. They're having the funeral for one of the sex traffickers' sons, who was in the first one. He gets electrocuted by uh, Brian, and then as they're burying him, the father is like, yes, my son was horrible, and our organization is horrible, but you can see our families are suffering now, and we want to get justice and revenge for them. And they're trying to they're trying to paint this picture of like, look, even though they're sex trafficking tourists in Paris, which is what got this whole series started, they see it as an honest living in this small town in Albania, because like the gang runs the town. And it's like, no, you guys are horrible human beings, but like they try to give you this opportunity to feel sympathy for them because Brian destroyed their entire like Paris operation. And you're just like, um, I still think he's a good guy though in this. Like, I don't get it.
It just makes no sense. The the plot, the whole entire plot after the first one, it's just it's like, all right, we need to find something that we can do with these characters, and we're gonna have Taken Two. I love the fact that Liam Neeson only agreed to do the third one because as long as nobody got taken.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
like, well, I'll do the third one, but nobody has to get taken. All right, we'll just kill off your ex-wife then. It's cool. Make it make sense.
Oh man.
Just make it make sense.
Oh, I'd mute me laughing when I'm dying. Momo's like, I need a reason, and I'm just like, no, it's just ridiculous.
It's just stupid.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? Have you seen like the original Mad Max with Mel Gibson?
No, but I've seen like bits and pieces of it.
So there's a scene where basically he's a cop and he's trying to stop this gang or whatever, and the gang kills, like, it's a very slow first half of the movie, and then the gang kills his wife and daughter and like baby daughter, and then he just like snaps, puts like his uniform into like the garbage and goes into kill mode, and that's basically how you could describe Taken. My daughter's gone. There's a line. There's a line where he's like, "What's your first priority?" "Oh, it's getting the bad guy." And he's just like, "Oh, well, mine's my daughter." And then he crashes a Porsche into a plane, so it can't take off. He's somehow still alive, and it's just like, what? I love it.
Jesus.
Also, Momo, when we eventually meet in the real life, if we don't meet at a movie theater, did we actually ever meet? That is my question.
It's like, did we? It's like, did we though?
So aside from your hatred for that cutscene, two questions for you. Least favorite we'll do MVPs last for the series. Least favorite person and second least favorite scene.
I would say my least favorite person is Lenore because she can't make up her mind. It's like, oh, I hate you now. Oh, but now I love you now. Oh, but I hate you now. Oh, but I love you now. It's like pick a struggle. Pick a struggle and stick with it. And then what was it? What was the last question? My
Second least hated scene. Or at least like scene.
second least liked scene. I would say like the final scene in 3 because it was like it felt so phoned in. Like, well, I was like, if I'll find you and okay, yeah, whatever. So it feels very blah at the end. So those are my two least favorite scenes.
Yeah, for me, my least liked person was probably Jean-Claude in the first one because I didn't really understand how he went from working behind a desk to being the guy who was taking a payoff from the sex traffickers. Then my least bit, and I felt no remorse when that guy got killed. I felt terrible for his family, but I felt no remorse otherwise. Um, in terms of least favorite scene, I'd say all the golfing. All the golfing made no sense in that movie.
But
open your eyes on.
but they're old.
I get it, but it's just like, why are you on the golf course every single time? And
It's because they're old and retired.
Oh, wait. My least favorite character isn't Jean. No. Least favorite character. Sorry, least favorite scene was when Stuart literally lets Liam Neeson waterboard him for like 20 minutes and still comes up with like a BS reason for what's going on in the third one. Like, it makes no sense. He's literally killing you and you won't tell him the truth. Like, come on.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's just so bad. And you know what makes it even worse is that it didn't have to end on that note.
Yeah.
It really didn't have to.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up my phone right now. We're gonna put down 30 seconds, and I'll do it for both of us. You have to say one nice you have to argue why Lenore was actually the MVP of the series,
No.
and I'll try and argue why Jean-Claude was the actual MVP of the series. So
Aw.
hang on 1 second. 30 seconds. Okay. Ready?
No.
All right. Here we go.
Go
30
ahead.
seconds. One.
Why Lenore is the MVP of the series? Okay. She does, you know, she does motivate Liam Neeson's character to actually be a good person and be an honorable person. But yeah, that's basically all I got.
Fair enough. Okay, and I'll put 30 seconds down for why Jean-Claude is actually the MVP of the series. So initially, Jean-Claude tries to help Liam Neeson by taking the police off of his back and saying, he's actually a good guy. I'll just drive him to the airport and he'll be a good dude. Um, he takes the payoff because you can tell that he's probably putting his kids through private school and therefore he needs the money. And so it's quite honorable of him to be taking everything into account. Okay. So that was 30 seconds for both of us. Now we're going to get to the MVPs of the series. So who is your MVP of the series?
I gotta say, like his friend, I'm gonna call him his handler
Oh,
because I
Sam.
can't
Yeah.
think. Yeah, his handler because it's like he gives him pretty much a rundown. Like, yeah, you've been out of the game for so long, but I'm gonna trust you completely, and I'm gonna give you the stuff that you need. And yeah, he's pretty much an MVP of the series. Just be like, I'll get you whatever you need. And then of course in the third one, his friends show up, so it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, the MVP of the series is Kimmy. She initially is dumbfounded when she gets taken because she literally thinks that her friend is actually going to go with her on a U2 um, tour, uh, which reminds me that U2 is, well, they're a top band in the world. They are not one of the greatest bands. And I too would probably be wanting to be taken if I had to go tour to see U2. Um, but this isn't a rant about U2. So Kimmy,
Well, it was like U2 was kind of like big. It's like was kind of big in 2008 or whatever it was,
yeah,
but
2008, yeah.
it's like sure, okay, we'll get U2. They're pretty cheap, so
Yeah, Kimmy, I'd say is the MVP because she goes through such horrible experiences and she finds this resilience to essentially survive. And if they did a spin-off of the Taken series, it seems like she would be the person who they would have as the lead character if it comes down to that. So I think Kimmy's it's probably Kimmy for me. And then oh yeah, so I also loved Forrest Whitaker's character because he seemed like he genuinely wanted to help find who the like catch who Lenny's murderer was. He wasn't really he's
mhm.
like, if Brian's innocent, cool, like we'll keep looking, like I'm totally fine with that. But he wasn't paid off or anything like that. He was like, no, 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 this is how I want to do it. And I thought the detectives that partnered with him were also pretty good, but like they all were like on the same page, so I appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's finally nice to see cops that aren't completely incompetent
Yeah, yeah,
in movies.
yeah, absolutely. So as we wrap up, Momo, thank you as always for coming on the pod. Where can the fine people of the internet find you?
Uh, they can mostly find me on Twitter at Momo Jones. They can find me also on Instagram at Moo Oh my God, I don't even know my own handle. What is wrong with me? At Momo Jones. So, thank you again always for having me on the pod. I greatly appreciate it. We got to do this again at some point.
Yes, absolutely. And as we noted off air, you'll pick the movies next time because
Okay.
I've picked the last couple. So as we go back and forth, as always, you can find me at Nattering with E on Visionaries Global Media, the Nattering with E Network, Eric Fried's on Twitter, natteringwithe at gmail.com. And I had one more thing, which has slipped my mind, but yeah, you can find me whenever. Um, Momo is fantastic. Definitely follow her on everything. And this has been Nattering at the Movies. Before we leave, next month's Nattering at the Movies, we will be joined by Andrew Sawyer, aka Paul Cersei on the internet. Sorry, Paul Kersey on the internet. So if you get that reference, that's right. We are doing not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but six Death Wish films. So can we do it in about an hour, or will that take us about 5 hours? Is the question. Momo, if you're free, you are totally welcome to join us for that. We'll talk more off air. And this has been Nattering with E at the Movies. Catch us Sundays each month. And thanks again.
Thank you.